Debbie definitely got that from Dad.
Yeah, that's one of Karen's drawbacks too.
And hi, Michelle. I see you
Hi.
over
Hey, Michelle.
Hi,
Yeah,
Michelle.
Hiya, I'm just hanging out in the background.
aw. So we
I'm
want to
just
say
technology.
Jim, you got skinny on me.
I got what?
You got skinny on me.
No, I didn't. I'm the same weight I was when I saw you last.
Hi, Cora.
Hello.
All right. He looks skinnier. I look fluffier. So we just changed.
I love it.
You have a good day. Bye-bye.
Oh,
Just take her for a walk.
It's for you guys.
Oh, we're going out that way. We're going this way.
Yeah.
Come on.
do I have to push a button?
No. You're set to go.
You just talk, but if somebody's talking and you cut in with something, it cuts the other person off.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to pause for a second and let them finish and then say something. Otherwise, everybody talks all over everybody else and nobody gets heard. That's about the only thing that we've noticed doing these.
You're looking good, Cora.
You are.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you
I
too.
want to touch you.
Huh?
she wants to
He
hug you.
wants
Like.
to hug you.
Yeah, I want to give you a big hug too. It's
It's-
a virtual hug. How's that?
That'll work. It has to work.
Has to. It's all we got.
So
we
we
have-
touch base together.
We grew up. When
Yeah.
we were growing up. With you and Lahara and me in Denver. You remember those days?
I do. I remember those days better than I remember yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. We had some. I talked to Bobby Guyman the other day.
Who?
Bobby.
Did you?
Yeah, I saw
Is
him on
he
Facebook. So
Is
I
he
just
still in Salt Lake?
Mom,
Oh,
I didn't finish talking.
I sent him a text message on Facebook, and he said, comes back and he said, "Boy, now there's a voice from the past."
yeah.
Yeah, he's still kicking
Who's
think he-
Bobby?
back there, right?
He's a cousin.
Huh?
He belongs to Ed Guyman, which is a brother to Grandma Morgan.
Yep. And he had a brother, Kenny,
Hmm.
and his sister was Jerry.
Uh-huh.
And that Kenny's the one we used to go see.
Yeah, I know Kenny died, and I think I heard his son died also.
Oh, really? The one
Yeah.
he was living with?
I think that's what I heard. I think it was his son. I
It
don't know how
very
many-
well be.
And I told you I went to Sanford after visiting you.
Uh-huh.
I visited the graves out there, got some pictures of the tombstones and all that. And who was it? Eldon. Eldon Morgan apparently had just died because his grave was still fresh. You remember
Eldon? Yeah.
You're Eldon, right? Yeah. I think he was the last generation.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Remember Barbara and Isla, the sisters, two sisters that are still living, were still in Sanford.
Isla?
No. Isla's in Bountiful out here, and so is Barb Jean. She's just real close.
Barbara is our age, isn't she?
Uh-huh.
And Bob is our age. We got longevity on the side.
Apparently. We're
How's
still
your- How's your health? I heard you had a triple or a quadruple bypass.
Yes, sir. Last year on Halloween and Monumental Day.
Wow. Halloween wasn't a very good day. That was the day my sister died.
Oh, I remember that. Several
Yeah.
years
2001. So it's 22 years ago. Wow. You remember that day, Deb?
Huh?
I say you remember that day?
Yes.
Yep. Died.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he was the one that went over there.
Oh,
Did you go find her?
Darren actually did. He went over she was living alone. My grandma died, Mabel, in
Yes.
like, what was it, March? And so Aunt Pat had moved, and Wilma is actually Pat. And I'm only saying that for people who watch this later because it's going to confuse them. But Darren had gone over there to make sure she was okay because she was living by herself and she was definitely not okay. So he called me because she was half undressed and he was freaked out. And I'm like, I got this. So we just fixed her all up and put her in the car. And then I guess it was the next day, everybody had time to come and say goodbye and hold her hand. And I remember the lady that was in the bed next to her said, I've never seen such a great send off for a person, with their whole family there. And that was just really kind of touching, really. And the sad thing is that when you do genealogy, you see that people who never had kids get kind of left out, right? And I don't think that's at all fair because they are such a huge part of people's lives. And just because you don't have children doesn't mean that you weren't important to the people that were alive at the time. It's like Aunt Pat was truly important to all of us especially because we lost our mom. So, she was like in that role a lot, and she's the one that threw all the Christmas parties, which now my sister's decided she's going to do. It's been passed. But yeah, so I always try to include them and make it so people know who they were.
Thank you. That needs to be documented also because she was a big part of our growing up also because she was the big sister.
Yeah. She was my second mom.
Yeah.
She was pretty bossy sometimes. Yeah, I can imagine. But motherly.
Willie Mae, that's what we call
Who?
All the firstborn are bossy.
him. I think so.
I
Rick,
don't know about that.
I went up and seen
They're
Rick
in
and I
charge.
a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about that very thing. She said that all of them were there that day that she died. And I said, yeah, almost the entire family was there. And I said, I felt sorry for the woman in the next bed because there was people coming and going all the time.
What a blessing that you could.
Yeah. And I miss her. I miss her and grandma every day.
She was the glue of the family together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't like it when I see people that are just left off, like no history attached to them, because everybody has a history. And so I try my best. As the family genealogist, I feel like it's my duty, really.
It's your blessing, honey. And I agree. Somebody's got to do it. And thank you.
And why not me? Because I'm nosy and I want to know everything.
I love it.
Can you tell us how it was when you guys did hang out as kids? Because we don't know. I know you didn't have all the stuff that we have now. You didn't have, cell phones and, all these things that we have now. You probably had board games, maybe? Toys?
Maybe. We played a lot of jacks and a lot of outside games, as I remember. But
do you remember the old house?
I do. Big time. It was my life. Depends on which house you're talking about, but the first one with
The
the big
first
pine tree.
The outhouse, the back.
Yeah. And the coal shed right next to it.
And the
But I have
woodshed, right?
to tell you some story before that.
Huh?
I have to tell you some story before that. It was Grandma and Grandpa lived with his parents in Safford. And do you remember Uncle Lou and Ruth's house where
Yeah.
Dale and Sonny were? That was the Morgan home in the beginning. They built that. And it was during the Depression. And all the brothers and their wives and sisters came home. And that house was not that big.
Oh, it was small. I
It's
remember.
very small. All those homes that were built back then were small. And they were all in that house. And all the kids. So Eldon and Genevieve and your mom and Aunt Marvell and Morris, all the kids grew up, and Ed and Eva's Danny that was killed in the war.
Yeah.
And Jewel Gay and Edna's son and all of them grew up with all those kids in the family. So they were raised by all the mamas. And in that little home. And then when things, and down there still to this day, there are no fruit trees. They just cannot grow things that high in the valley to have any fruit trees. And so they did have a rhubarb plant, or lots of them. And that was their fruit for the year, and in the spring and in the fall, what they could bottle or hydrate or dehydrate. And that was their fruit, unless some peddlers came to bring them apples or something from New Mexico. And the grandpa's grandma did a lot of the cooking. And she taught our grandma how to make dumplings, how to make Danish dumplings, and several other things. And that's how we got those recipes. And then things got moving along, and some of the family didn't like it because some of the family was not helping out, and you know how families get. And so Grandma and Grandpa decided to move to La Hera. And they moved in with Grandma's sisters, Safroni and Doug Carr, with their children. And then her brother Orson, Uncle Art, his daughter and husband had acquired some apartments. And he went over and asked them how much they were going to charge, that his sister Orpha and Mel needed, and their children needed someplace to live other than with the Cars. And so that's how they got in the little 2-room apartment. Grandma had her choice of the 3 apartments. There were 3 rooms in the Mestices that were next door. And then behind them were the Luceros. And they had a bathroom and a big front room. But not some other amenities. And they were back in, you know how it was an L-shaped triplex, and they were in the back end. And Grandma chose the front ones because she wanted to see out front. Because in the car house, they were in the back 2 rooms, and she couldn't see out except out the side.
It's a triplex.
Uh-huh.
It's a duplex, and the guy next door had his head tucked over to the side.
Yeah, Ben.
Ben, was that his name?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. He had an accident cutting trees or something and caused that to happen when he was a very young man.
Yeah.
And so that's how they got in the 2-room house.
Yeah, 2 rooms and a path.
Yeah.
And you
A
saw
long
A long path.
Mhm.
And then
Was
Nicole,
half a
Yeah.
block back there, wasn't it?
yeah, about that. That whole area has changed. I drove, I tried to find it again because I couldn't exactly remember. Of course, that house is gone. And there's
Yeah.
a park this thing back there now on that street. Just,
Yeah, there's a new home on that corner.
yeah.
And do
Yeah.
you remember the dilapidated wood one that was just well, if you were facing the house, it was to your right across the street. It got torn down too. A lot of things have changed.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. Well, even the street that Grandpa built. Remember the old dilapidated house across the street?
Which way across the street?
Directly across from him was this big brown house that had dilapidated. I don't know if people lived in it or not, but
It wasn't directly across the street. It was to the
Okay.
side across that street.
Okay. Well, I remember there was nothing beyond that. I mean, you could see all the way to the mountains. So
Yeah.
the last time I drove by there's several rows of houses back behind it now.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were there?
Oh, when Grandma Rogers died.
So about 20 years ago.
About 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
Since I have.
Yeah, Marilyn was there recently too. She was there about a year before I went. And she
Yes.
was telling me that the house is still there, but it's got a 3-car garage next beside it. And I said, there's no way you could put a 3-car garage beside that house because the lots were small, narrow.
Yeah.
But I went by there. Yep, there's a 3-car garage sitting next to it now.
Yeah. The guy,
They must have bought the lot next door as well.
yeah. The guy that owned and worked at the little station up on 285, straight in front of Grandma and Grandpa's little house.
Okay. Up on the highway.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He bought that lot from McDaniels, and that's his house, his family's house. His family's house. Where our house was.
To the left of it.
To the left of it? No, right where the house Grandma and Grandpa was. And
Yeah.
the big tree got moved.
Well, the garage is on the left side, the bedroom side of their house.
Yes.
3-car garage is now.
Awesome.
Yeah. I thought Marilyn was crazy. when she told me that she had seen a 3-car garage next door. I said, that lot wasn't big enough for a 3-car garage.
Apparently it was.
Yeah,
You know, Dad, put that up on-
McDaniel's had a big side yard, and then the Mistresses had a pretty good size
yeah,
yard. You could put 3 in there.
yeah. I just remember the potato cellar.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, all of that's gone.
Not in that house.
Yes. He's talking about the one there. There was a potato cellar. It was the building out back.
In the house that Grandpa built, there was a cellar.
Yeah, right directly behind.
Uh-huh.
We were climbing on the roof of that thing, and
Oh, Grandpa, if he'd have seen you, he'd have been mad to you,
yeah,
because all it was a dirt roof.
yeah, I know.
Did you fall in?
Adobe walls and a dirt.
Yeah. That was a pretty sturdy outhouse, actually.
Was
And
a
you-
2-hole.
No, that one was, the Mistress one was a 2-holer, but the one Grandpa built that was next to the coal shed, was just one, but it was a cement base and up the sides, because
Yeah.
Grandpa built that one.
My best memories are from that house, I think. Then they moved to the other house, the second one, which also had an outhouse, but it was a 2-story, right?
Right.
Yeah, and it had an outhouse. And
Yes.
then lived there while Grandpa was pedaling his bicycle down to make adobes,
Yep.
and then he built that house.
I have
Oh,
a picture of Grandpa Morgan building something with your dad. And I do have a picture of Grandma and Grandpa Morgan standing outside a door, but they're dressed up. It's a picture of